Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today, my guest is Dean McMurray. Before I bring him on, a couple of announcements. You can always get new episodes free on Rokfin, Odysee, and all podcast platforms. Go check us out on Rokfin. That's where you get our premium content that you can't find anywhere else. You also get our regular shows, and best of all the content from every creator on Rokfin. And check out all the podcasts we feature on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. You get those on our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, and follow us on Facebook. All those links are in the description for you. Today I want to welcome back to the show Dean McMurray. He is a 24-year Army veteran working as a spiritual medium. He contacts departed loved ones, angels, and spirit guides by connecting the earth plane and spirit realm. As a clairvoyant, he receives visions of people, places, and things of the past, present, and future. And his clairsentient gift means he can also receive psychic senses, including smell, taste, and touch. And as an empath, he takes on the sensations of the physical and emotional states of being. Dean, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Doing well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you back on. Always great talking to you. And we're in another new year. We're
Yeah.
also living in a much different world every time we speak, really. I don't even remember what normal looks like anymore.
All
We
right.
live in, yeah, we live in complete bizarro world. But with everything going on, I still have a good outlook and hope for the future. Call me crazy. I probably am. But we're
That's
going to
all
have
you can
fun
do,
tonight.
right?
Yes, yes.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna be taking some calls throughout the show. We're gonna be doing some live readings, so it's gonna be a fun show. The call-in number is on the screen. You should see it there. If you want to automatically block your number, use *67 to block your number. If not, I will just change it to caller 1 or caller 2 as they come in. And each of you guys is gonna have the chance to ask 2 questions for Dean. So you can call in anytime during the show, like I said, and we will take you in the order that you call in. But Dean, let's start with how was 2021 for you and your family? Was it a good year?
Yeah, 2021 was actually a pretty good year. I mean, I know there was a lot of stuff going on for everybody else, but personally in our family, it was a good year. A lot of growth, a lot of expansion, and just deepening in the awareness. As we move forward within the year. So.
Now, what are some of the most profound, I guess, spiritual lessons or things that you've learned over the years after you came into your abilities that really kind of shifted over the years? Maybe you thought one way about something and now you completely have shifted your way of thinking and maybe brought you down a new spiritual track.
Right. That's a really great question because I think we all start off with a certain way of understanding or thinking, and then we experience something different that makes us stop and go, well, wait a minute, And I think one of those aspects, number one, was really I'd have to start in the beginning and really the existence of spirit, number one, and number two of the everything metaphysical, because when I have if you go back to our earlier conversations in the earlier episodes, talking about how I just had my awakening and really going from somebody that didn't believe to you know my deceased grandmother coming to visit me, and it'd be like, and it was really a moment in time where I was, I call it the come to Jesus moment, right? Be like, whoa, what's going on? And what does this all mean? So that would be the first one. And the other one that I remember would have been within my spiritual development, was actually when I used to learn, when early on, when I learned how to do house dousings or cleansings. And I was always taught the aspect of working with archangels and different divine entities. And my thought was kind of think of a divine SWAT team, right? Just kind of kick in the door, burst in. All right, all you low vibing entities, get to the light type kind of smash and grab type deal. Until I had my own experience of where I died and where there was a lot of confusion for me because the experience was so real. And I was like, well, how can I be dead? I'm, just went to bed, all that. And so it was really the universe's way of saying, Dean, there's spirits on the other side, or, in the spirit realm, we'll call it, that haven't fully crossed over, but are very scared. They're unsure, kind of, trying to figure things out because they don't know that they have died. And so it was an aspect of finding some empathy for spirits that haven't crossed over. So it was more about coming, saying, well, maybe I should take a different stance then, instead of always coming in with guns blazing, so to speak, and doing kind of the hard charging aspect, and take a little bit softer approach. I'm not saying that to not have very firm boundaries around that, but at the same time, when I started realizing that there were a lot of spirit, if you just come in, if you think about it, if I was just to come into somebody's home or somebody's office and started yelling and screaming, all right, everybody on the damn bus, there'd be a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, a lot of, misunderstandings, instead of, trying to tell folks what's going on and, hey, we need to do this, or, so it was a little bit different approach. So in that aspect, and that would be the other one that I would share. And then of course, I think we go back in time as well, when we talked about my experience with extraterrestrials and the possession of, a client that I had that had a reptilian possession, and up until that point, I didn't laugh at people that would talk about extraterrestrial stuff, but a long time ago, it was, I just couldn't quite go there. And,
Yeah.
universe was like, yeah, until you have your own experience,
Yeah.
and little did I know that was coming. But then when I had it and I was like, holy crap, right? That's real. Then, it's something that you can't explain away. And so, yeah, there's been experiences that have completely shifted. And I'm like, and the other aspect with all of these experiences, there's more as well, but it really makes me cognizant of what I'm saying and how I respond to something, because just because we don't understand it, just because I haven't experienced it yet, doesn't mean that I won't. Absolutely not, because I've been shown time and time again by the universe that saying 9 times out of 10, if I say, I can't really go there. And sometimes I have to stop myself and go, Dean, you're the guy that talks to dead people. You're the guy, like for some people that is really stretching it, like for belief, right? And remember where you came from. And so the aspect of that, I kind of really cognizant of what I say, and what as I move forward, and if I ever run up against that within my own head or ego, then it's like, maybe you need to take a different look at it, Dean, and more objectified, right? So you're not so determined from one aspect. Try to look at it from all sides. And, and if I can't quite go there, then I allow myself space for, that's okay right now. But it's not about tearing anybody down. It's not about making fun of it. It's like, just move along, move along now. You'll come back. The road will come back.
Oh yeah, man! I can imagine like within a relatively short amount of time, the universe it pushes you to know not only are there
Right.
spirit and angels, but hey, there's extraterrestrials too, by the way, and you're gonna have to deal with all of it.
Well, I mean, and not just that. I mean, the list doesn't end there. It's almost like the universe saying, "But wait, there's more."
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so, we're so surrounded by so much more than galactic entities, or Earth, the plane entity, whatever you want to call it. It's really kind of mind-boggling, and I just tell people that it all depends what rabbit hole do you want to go down today, because as you well know, Chris, there's so many aspects. The universe is just so full of diverse levels of understanding. It's just like mind-blowing, just like holy crap.
Oh yeah,
So
it is. That's one of the topics that I want to get into a little later is the vastness of the multiverse or the super spectrum that's just beyond the spectrum of our vision that we can't see. That's probably just right here all the time. But that's I want to get into that in a second. I want to remind everybody that if they want to get a reading from Dean, the call-in number is right there on the screen. You can use *67 to block your number, or I'll just change it to caller 1 or caller 2 when you call in. Follow the instructions right there, and have 2 questions ready for Dean, and we will get to you in the order that you call in. And we got our first caller here, and it is April. All right, let me admit April here. April, welcome to Forbidden Knowledge News. How are you doing? Oh, she's still connecting here.
there she is.
April, can you hear me? Oh, we can't hear her.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
we can hear you. Welcome to Forbidden Knowledge News. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. What questions do you have for Dean?
Yeah, I'm here. Am I connected or what? All right.
Yes, you're connected. You're good.
Yep.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, there's a little bit of feedback on my end, so that's why I'm a little.
Oh, yeah, you might have to turn the radio off or whatever you're listening to. And all right. Well, what questions do you have for Dean there?
Basically, I'm trying to get a.
April, are you there?
Oh,
she got
lost her.
disconnected. But yeah, so are you still actually communing or in touch with extraterrestrials, or still use them for some of your readings?
Yeah, I don't think that that once you go there, Chris, in my opinion, that you can ever really fully go back. I think once you make that connection, it's all within your sphere of influence. So yeah, from time to time, do they, whether they're whatever sphere they're on, or whatever level they're on, they do come into some of the work that I'm doing. So for sure.
Now, I remember last time we talked about it, you were working with a group called Arcturians. Is this the same group, or have you been working with different groups?
No, I've been working with Arcturians for a number of years. And then, of course, a lot of other divine groups as well. But yeah, and it's interesting is a lot of other people, a lot of star seeds as well, right, are starting to wake up and starting to remember where they come from, or at least reconnect, and trying to figure out, what we'll call it race of star seed they are, whether they're Arcturian, or whether they're Palladian, or whatever the case is. And so kind of trying to figure out where their home planet is. So kind of trying to find some reconnection.
Now, for those that may not be familiar or have heard our previous conversation, Arcturians are, very, I guess you could say, divine, high-level celestial beings, right?
Right. And, and I always kind of joke a little bit and call them the galactic, archangels, right? They're kind of do a lot of policing, if you will, of a lot of low vibrating entities. But in a lot of the, even a lot of the home clearings I do, a lot of cleansing of people or different things, I really do a lot of work with Arcturians. I bring them in a lot of cases. And it's just kind of, to me, it's kind of added insurance as well, as far as, bringing them in and making sure there isn't any, how do I want to say, low vibrating galactic entities hanging out and let them police up whatever they need to clean up. So.
Now, I want to get into kind of galactic entities versus maybe like demonic entities also in a second, but I think we have our caller back.
Okay.
I think this is April. Let's see here. Is this April? Hello?
Yes, it's April.
Oh, hey, perfect. April. All right. What questions do you have for Dean?
I guess the first question I would have is I have been writing a book for about 14 years, and it's kind of a sci-fi fantasy, but it's about real world happenings, and it actually coincides now with what's going on rather than 14 years ago when I started writing it. And I'm hoping to get it published this year, and I just wanted to see if he had any sense of if that will be successful.
Well, I feel that once a book gets out there, April, it'll be well received. But I feel that it's like almost like trying to pour a molasses, so to speak, of like, like this publishing process. It just feels super, super slow going. So if you're talking about 2022 to get it published, it feels like it takes quite some time to get the publishing process done. But I would say is that if I'm reading the timeline correctly, I would say that, like a book launch or some type of party probably in the fall or perhaps early winter.
Okay, nice. Fair enough. Thank you very much for the answer.
Yes, and you get one more question.
Yes, too. Also, I lost my brother in 2018, and I often think that he is one of, I don't know if a guide is the right word, but one of the protectors or people that advise me on the other side. Do you feel him around me at all?
Sure. First and foremost, I just want to say sorry for your loss. And one of the things, it's interesting because I feel that protector energy around there, regardless of, age difference or whatever. But I want to say is that, it's interesting because, a lot of us have loved ones in spirit that we consider like spirit guides or guardian angels, whatever you want to call them. And technically, are they angels? No, but we consider them that. And so thereby intention or, that perceived energy, they show up in that aspect so we can recognize and validate that. The cool thing is, though, April, is I feel like he is a big proponent of not only supporting the work that you're doing, but also sending a tremendous amount of signs and still kind of really being what I would say is his smart alecky self and really just, his own sense of funniness, his wit and but really also his intelligence to the matter as well.
Well, thank you. And I meant to say thank you for your service. My brother was a 30-year Army helicopter pilot. So I appreciate your service.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And thank you, April.
Yeah, thank you.
I will be talking to you after the show.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right. Yeah, man, that is. I want to go back to what we were talking about before with the difference between these entities that may not have our best interest in mind, such as you said, they have galactic entities and maybe more spiritual entities. Is there like a difference there?
Well, I just think it's where they reside, where's the energy residing from? So if you think of kind of the earth plane encompassing everything that is within the aspect of earth, right? So, and then what I would consider is a spiritual plane, talking everything that is more metaphysics, right? So when we talk about spirits and the what we consider heaven, quote unquote, or for some people consider it hell as well. So we in that kind of hereafter, and then on the galactic plane, what a lot of people just call is when you're connecting to alien, entities, anything that is not of this earth, and of course, quote unquote, the spiritual realm is not of this earth either, I guess. In a sense, you could call it a galactic sense, but really it's a plane of existence. We're getting down to semantics, but the thing is really when we look at it, regardless of where it is or what it is, it's all energy. It's a plane of existence. It doesn't matter if it's 20 light years from earth. It doesn't matter if it's a plane of existence or a dimension that's parallel to ours. It doesn't matter what it is or where it is. It's all energy.
Right on. And earlier you mentioned that angels aren't necessarily what we consider angels. What do you mean by that? Because I've heard this
So
before, and I've heard different
right.
kind of terms for
So
angels.
well, so the true, if you look up the definition of an angel, right, and it all kind of goes by who what you're reading and what you choose to believe. But an angel, by definition, is an entity, a divine entity that has not ever been incarnated on this earth. So it has never been born, or through a woman, right? Back in the day, so some believe back when we talk about Adam and Eve day, or maybe when there was Atlantia and all those different worlds, where beings could just materialize. They didn't have to go through the process of being born into this physical world, right? There was an aspect of anything and everything could just, show up at an instant. So you could be here, be there. And so the other aspect of that is when I shared that angels aren't angels, not that angels aren't angels, but in April's case, where she talked about her brother, right? And talking about being like a guide or a guardian angel. Are they really an angel by definition? And that's where I get it's kind of in that gray area. By definition, are they an angel? No. However, to us, we may have loved ones that we consider a guardian angel, and they always come to mind when maybe before something bad happens, before maybe when somebody's getting sick. So in a sense, they are like a guide or a guardian to us. And so we consider them that. And so in our mind, they are like our guardian angel or our, or whatever you want to consider them. But again, it gets down to semantics, talking about, are they technically an angel? No. But when I do readings, if they show up in the angelic realm, when I'm kind of connecting to folks, that's kind of their way of saying, yeah, I'm hanging out with the angels, so to speak. And, it gets down to labels again, and really why muck it up with our words? So it's like, okay, yep, I'm up here. Now, some of them, when you get some really funny relatives, they're like, shit, I never thought that the angels would let me hang out with them. You know, like if they were kind of wild childs, you know, while they were here on this earth, and be like, you know, heaven will never let me in. And but you know, we have to understand that really, when you know those that have crossed over come back and we're reconnecting to them, it's really emanating love, pure and simple. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter how crazy they were. Some people live some wild lives out there.
Yeah, no, that's a great explanation. I want to remind the audience, if you want to get a live reading from Dean, the call-in number is on the screen. You will take calls, the order they were received. Oh, also, if you don't want to call in, just leave a question in the chat. We'll get to it that way too. Dean can also answer it that way as well. Now, I know at some point, Dean, you were involved in like house clearings. Are you still doing that?
I am. I actually took that, and over the years, and it's developed into actually a business niche. Because I noticed that every time when my wife and I would clear a house that was going to go up before sale, that they were selling so much quicker. And I kind of, one of those things where it happens enough, you kind of go, huh, you know, that's kind of, I'm seeing a pattern, right? And we even did it on our house when we moved. And so one of the things that I started looking at was, how could I take what I've learned and modify it and actually put it into a business model, in a sense, market it to people that are selling homes. And that was the case of when I kind of asked myself, well, who deals with homes and sells a lot of homes? It's realtors and custom home builders, you know, flipper, you know, different people in the real estate market. And that's kind of where intuitive real estate consulting started. That's what I call it. I'm not a realtor. I don't even have a real estate background. Some of the terms, you know, I vaguely know, but it was more about understanding energy, and it wasn't about the homes. It was you know, 98% of it is changing the energy, so the energy flows within it, so it can align with the perfect buyer. Because think about it, I mean, if you take the United States, I don't even know the figures right now, but I know that there are thousands upon thousands of homes at any given moment across the United States, and the world, obviously, that are for sale. And what are there, like 8 billion people on earth, right? And just think about how many homes it takes to house that many people, and everybody's moving for different reasons. Just yourself, Chris, you just moved into a new place, right? So the thing is understanding that, to find, and there's so many choices out there in your given state or city, whatever, and sometimes it's overload. Obviously, we're looking at price and everything else. But sometimes when we look at it, it's like, how do you align with the energy of the perfect home? And then just to make it feel so good when somebody walks in, they're like, God, this house just feels so good. This feels like my house. And at the same time, yes, you know, you're looking at all the logical things that people look at, oh my God, why did they got wall to wall blue shade carpeting, right? So we always got those houses to deal with. But the thing that I would share is, I deal with the energy aspect of selling homes, and I'm kind of the hidden secret or asset of realtors and custom home builders in my area. And it's really fun. I've worked on homes all across overseas, even in Ecuador. I've worked in, so it doesn't matter where the home is, it's connecting to the energy of it. And
Yeah, I'm sure
So
that, even a lot of previous homes, maybe they might have, abusive families in there, or people in abusive relationships, and that I would imagine leaves tons of negative energy, right?
well, think about it, right? Yeah, good point. Like talking about why people move, right? So you talk about death, marriage, divorce, having children, getting animals. You talk about abuse, fire. Everything happens in our homes, like all kinds of stuff, whether positive or negative. And that residual energy is always being shedded, right? So we're always exuding this energy, whether good or bad, and it goes within the home. So think, for example, somebody going through a divorce, or you bring up, Chris, abuse. And so you go in and you're looking at homes with your significant other or by yourself, and you're like, "Ooh, gorgeous house, but I don't feel the love. I don't feel the warm and fuzzy. I'm not feeling it, right? It feels for some reason hostile." And so this is that residual energy that is still hanging out. So people do all the things to get ready for an open house. They clean the house, they paint, they, change the carpeting. But what a lot of people fail to do is think about the energy that is hanging out in the home. And so all I do is again, I go in and align it, basically clean it and align it with and I also check frequencies as well of the asking price, the photos, when like people buy or build, sorry, I shouldn't say, when people build new homes, I've had these ginormous power distribution towers right over top, and I'm like, whoa, what are you guys crazy? I know you're not thinking of that as developers, but you know right above this house are these ginormous towers. And I'm like, how do you like that is affecting this home? And it might be great price point, beautiful looking home, great neighborhood, but here's this, big metal structure with all these high voltage, and all that residual energy is coming off. And whether it's making people not sleep well, it feels like a repellent. And so where I have to go in in a sense and energetically neutralize that, so where it isn't a factor. And so people, so it aligns with the people that are out there looking for their forever home.
That's really cool. That makes a lot of sense. We got a question from Casey in the chat. She
Okay.
asks why she struggles so much with meditation and hypnosis and manifestations, and how does she change her energy? She feels like she just keeps attracting hardship.
Well, I would share this first. Thank you for the questions, Casey. Is number one, you say why do I keep on attracting the hardships? Number one, I would say is that we're always a mirror for others, and others are a mirror for us. So if you're always attracting hardships, what is it about your thought process that is always, do you come from the process, if it's around money? Were you brought up with the belief that money doesn't grow on trees, that you have to work hard to get paid well? And I'm not saying that, not to work hard, but what I'm sharing is these limiting beliefs that you can't be, abundant or you be successful. These limiting beliefs that live within somewhere in our subconscious. And if these are being mirrored to you by these, we'll call them hardships, that's a mirror to you saying, is there something within me that I didn't even think about? Maybe that my parents always said because it was just something they said. It's like, what do you think? I'm not feeding the whole neighborhood, or, close the refrigerator door. Money doesn't grow on tree. All those little things goes in to the piggy bank here. And unfortunately, those thoughts are running you a deficit because they're taken away from the abundant thinking of, I create to manifest, unlimited amounts of, so to hold, you don't want limiting beliefs, right? The other thing is talking about the aspect of this also kind of sometimes comes out for people in relationships, saying, why do I always attract the same type, people that need to be quote unquote fixed? Why do well, number one, that's usually a trait of the empath. I got to fix everybody, got a box of Band-Aids, and I'll be damned if I don't use every last one. I don't care if they're bleeding to death. But they don't want to help themselves. Well, hello, knock on the screen, right? It's like, because they, at some point they need to help themselves out of whatever scenario, or, whether they're negative or whether they're very narcissistic, or I don't care where it is, drugs, alcohol, it could be anything. They have to want the help themselves. And a lot of people that are typically healers always want to help others because you care and you get involved with that other aspect, and it's like, because you feel needed, you want to feel needed, and it's like, oh, I got lots of work to do, right? And then when that one goes for a little while, then all of a sudden a new one shows up, right? It's like, because you're projecting the need. So it's more about self-reflection. Was there any other questions on that, Chris? Was there?
I think that, wait, let's see. She just posted something else. Let me get back here. I apologize. There's a delay.
Nope.
Thank you again for your question, Casey. No, nothing else right now. But if you have another question, Casey, feel free to leave that in the chat. And anyone else, if you'd like a reading, you can call in the numbers on the screen, or you can leave a question in the chat. While waiting, I want to go back to the energy of houses and buildings in general.
Right.
You hear about the ancient energies of pyramids and even cathedrals, how they used to have this, great spiritual energy that would pass through these places like this, and how construction in modern times, you're not getting this same type of energy flow through our buildings, and you won't have this same type of spiritual connection through these buildings. Right. Is there anything that you've experienced in different types of buildings with different types of energy based on their construction?
Yeah. I'll answer that here in a second, because I just remembered Casey from the chat room, other part of her question. I want to address it really quick, because she said, one of the things she asked, why do I have problems with meditation and problems manifesting things? Real quick, one thing for you, Casey, is because you're going about meditation like very traditionally, you're vibrating way higher than that. So quit trying to do the old school stuff. Find something that works for you, right? I feel a connection to animals, so whether walking dogs or whatever that is, or maybe petting your cat or dog while manifest or sitting in meditation. And then the manifesting aspect, I feel that you're pretty good with actually manifesting the things that you probably don't want. So it's finding the reversal key of that, is focusing on what it is. And it really number one comes again from focusing back on the limiting self-beliefs and self-love and all that great stuff. But with the meditation piece, I think you're going to find your key to meditation. Getting back to your question, Chris, about different construction, why are different, and talking about energy and spiritual activity, why are certain buildings more active than maybe others, and does it relate to how they're built and where they're built? I totally believe that is the case. Number one, any building or dwelling that is built on a ley line. So for those that are not familiar, ley lines are a natural occurring energy, we'll call them highway within the earth. They encompass the earth, right? And one of the things is understand that if there are dwellings, a lot of times we talk about, if you've ever heard the theory that the pyramids around the world are all on the same ley lines, right? So kind of like if you think of the globe, the old school globe with the lines, or latitude, longitude, they're all on the same latitude and longitude, and that same ley line is connecting them all, right? And that's the same with, think of them as superconductors, the same, wireless connection of energy. Nikola Tesla, learned about all that stuff long, long ago. So anything that's put on a ley line is amplified, whether good or bad. And so understand that when we're starting to talk about energy and structures, building, say, a big apartment complex or something like that on a ley line, can be, can end up being very active, and not only because it is a super highway for spirits later on, but the other aspect of all the energy coursing through, right? And the other thing that throws it wonky too, I really want to add this because it's really important, is all the man-made energy grids that is put in underground and above ground. The 20th century, ever since really the invention of electricity, man really, to industrialize it, they went crazy, right? Huge power, towers and transformers and everything else. Well, if you ever go to out back behind a business, sometimes, back by the dumpsters and everything, sometimes you'll find these huge transformers and all these kind of crazy things that typically you don't see up front. And also they run underground. The thing is, it throws the natural flow of energy off. And what that creates, if you have a ley line going like this and a man-made grid going like this, it starts creating what's called the negative vortex. Negative vortexes go in a counterclockwise motion. And you think of like a toilet bowl, right? Kind of pulling everything down in. So think of, it could be negative energy. It could be people are getting sick. They're not sleeping. Cats love, for some reason, if you have a negative vortex in your home, cats love to, I don't know why, but cats love to lay in these areas. Dogs don't. They'll usually poop and pee in there. And then people typically try to cover it up subconsciously. So they'll pile a bunch of laundry there. They'll pile all their work in a certain area. And the simple way to go in is identify where they are and to close them off and to redirect the energy in a positive and harmonic way. And so everybody involved. And but the other thing I wanted to share with that as well is some of the materials that are used when building. A lot of people don't realize that granite, naturally occurring granite in the earth, can also emit radon, right? So in areas where there's a higher granite concentration, sometimes they have higher radon levels. Not always the case. And I'm not certainly by far a radon expert, right? However, we've also found that what gets very popular with people in their kitchen, granite countertops. Not saying that you got radon coming from them, but it's also a conductor if it's not diffused. So some of these regular occurring, so, just like you, Chris, like there on your side table, you got a lot of crystals and stones and stuff. And that helps with the energy and not only amplify, but also diffuse anything that's negative, right? So at the same time, understand that when you got a big slab of rock in your kitchen, understand where it's coming from. It's good to know what quarry, where, so these are things that goes, in the intuitive real estate consulting aspect. When it comes to people building, that's things people don't think about. Like, oh my God, these quartz or granite countertops are gorgeous, and they are. There, I mean, you can get anything your heart desires. However, know where they're coming from, number one, and there's a lot of other aspects to it. But what is the energy associated with it? Is it going to just totally jack up your home? But say it might, but you can also diffuse that. You can also change it. So it's like, oh my God, Dean, I just got the countertops and the new cabinets in my kitchen. I completely redid it, and we went with quartz or whatever it is. Oh my God. And it makes total sense. It doesn't mean that you have to tear down your home. It just means that you need to tweak the energy within it. So understand, anything you add or anything you remove is changing the energy dynamic within the home or dwelling. The same goes with business. You want to be more profitable? Change the energy in your home or business. So maybe like me, I work from home. Guess what? This is part of my office, but guess what? You need to make sure that the energy isn't crap. Number one, I'll feel better at home. So will the kids and the family and the dog, but also my business will do better. And it's really funny. Every week we make it a requirement that we go in and check the energy of the home, just so we're all feeling well. And every time we do, we see a spike in business every time. Like right after we get done, there's like, somebody reaching out for something. And so it's kind of interesting. It's like, oh, that's, we always get a little chuckle every time we do it. So understand that as you shift your energy, you're shifting your vibration.
Yes, for sure. And that's something I've witnessed firsthand. Positive thinking brings positive results into, my life, is
Right.
for sure. Now, I want to remind everybody we got a few minutes left. Please do call in for a reading from Dean. The number's on the screen. If you don't want to call in, you can leave your question right there in the chat, and we'll get to it in the order that it's received. Don't be shy today. Now, I want to go back to what could lie just beyond the spectrum of our vision, and when it comes to the energy surrounding us as well. So say you have these energetic disruptions in a building. Do you think that it could attract either, negative or positive entities into there that could also further disrupt the energy flow through there, right?
Absolutely. 100%, 1000%. A lot of times when somebody reaches out to me, through Facebook or whatever, email, whatever, like, Dean, help, my house is haunted, or like there's, I got some demons or whatever. The first thing that I always do is I'm, right away, if I have time, I'm already energetically connecting and feeling out what's going on. If I feel something really dark, then I kind of know. But 9 times out of 10, it is the energy is just off. I mean, the 98% rule is, spirit. 98% of spirits are not evil per se. The other thing is, though, Chris, you talked about, is if you have these negative vortexes, right, or these openings in a disruption of energy, it creates a train stop or a subway stop for spirit to just show up. So you might get willy-nilly Joe the Spirit, and it's like, why? Oh my God! All of a sudden, my house is haunted. What's going on? And because every dwelling, even my home, continuously needs to be worked on from time to time. Not every day, but every so often, just to get tweaked, because the world's always shifting, especially now. We're always growing. There's new stuff being added, everything else, and we need to shift the energy of these dwellings, the energy of our homes, right? And so as we do that, we close up these little openings, and so spirit just can't pop through willy-nilly, and then we allow the spirits a way to transition on where they need to go. If they're earthbound, then we get them to cross over, whatever the case is. But it's kind of interesting. Yeah, there's been a lot of times where a home has a tremendous amount of negative vortexes, and it just got a crap load of spirits in the home. And it's like, well, it's just like having a bunch of holes in your foundation, and then all of a sudden you got a bunch of mice. It's
Right.
like, okay, well, let's close up the holes, let's get rid of the mice, and then so
Now, if people are kind of concerned about the energy in their own house, what would
yeah.
be maybe a few simple techniques that they can do to change things around, maybe?
Great question. I am a huge proponent of loving to empower other people. I don't believe that you need a PhD in cleansing homes to do it yourself, right? So number one, remember this, is that you have the ability, every one of you listening to this, watching this, whatever, you have the ability to do this, cleanse your own home. So you can do it in several ways. There's a lot of ways to cleanse a home. Number one, very common, is to get yourself a bundle of sage. There's a lot of different sages out there, white sage, even some other, I think it's called sacred sage. Make sure if it is wild, like it is actually somebody harvests, it's done in an ethical way. I have a lot of native friends that will be the first to say, make sure if you're going out there and it grows wild like it does here in the Dakotas, that you're doing it ethically. There's a way to harvest it and a way not to. So, and really, just very simple of it's in a container of some type. It can be simple as a plate. It could be a abalone shell, which they, routinely sell a lot of time with sage. But basically, you light it and you blow it out and allow it to billow smoke. And whether you have a feather or your hand, you're trying to get smoke to go into the areas which you want to cleanse, right? So in the idea of, I would go around the perimeter of this room if I wanted to cleanse it, and to actually get the smoke into those areas and allow it to cleanse everything. And remember, intention is very powerful. So understanding if you want to say a prayer or chant a something or whatever, and just saying that, to disrupt and just get rid of all negative energies. I don't know, but whatever works for you. I have said in the past, may the light, love, and God of and the universe displace and disperse all negative energies from this place. I've used that in the past. I've used some others too, but you can use whatever. You don't even need to say anything really. Just with the intention in your mind that's doing it. You can also use, there's a product called Palo Santos wood, or holy wood. And it looks like, when you get the bundle, looks like little kindling, right? It's pieces like this. And it's what I call like a very earthy scent. And you do the same thing. You get the little piece of wood, excuse me, on fire, you blow it out, same premise. Incense. Now, say you're not, maybe you have allergies, maybe you live in an apartment where you can't do that. For those of you that are in college, that live in dorms, you can't have any open flame or whatever, right? Well, you're unlocked, because they make essential oils that you can certainly put, and I'll use my water bottle here, but you can get a spray bottle that you would, mix with water and essential oils, whatever blends. Sometimes you can buy them pre-blended, like for cleansing, or you can intuitively do it, saying, I like this stuff, I'll put that in there, and make a concoction. You put your little squirt top on it, and basically what you're doing is you're spritzing the same premise. is as you mist in along the perimeter of the room, is that you're doing the same intention that essential oil or that cleansing material is cleansing out all the negative energy. Now, I really quick also I want to share is singing bowls, tuning forks, music. A Chinese way is with a bell. You open up everything, that drawers, windows, everything, and you basically, the old idea was to scare the spirits out of the area by ringing it and then making a lot of noise, and then everything leaves, and then you close all the windows and doors. And but spoiler alert, if you live somewhere like I do that it gets 40 plus below during the winter, kind of hard to do that, or your heating bill might go up. So what I would share, there is more than one way to do it. Find a way that works for you, or you think, I kind of like that idea, and then go with that. And then you can also learn to douse, or bring somebody in that knows dousing. That's more technical. But the thing is understand that, to cleanse your space, you do not need somebody with a PhD and spent 5 years on the space shuttle. You just don't. You can do it yourself.
Awesome. Great advice. Now, this will be the last chance, everyone. If you want to get a reading, to call in. You can also leave your question in the chat, and we'll get to it in the order that it was received. I do have a question in the chat, another one from Casey. She asks if you can tell her what happened to her father, Steve, when he died. She can't call as she's... Okay. Yeah, she's just asking what happened to her father, Steve, when he died.
So she's asking like details of his death, or
yeah, Casey, if you could give us any more details about what you want out of your question. She just asks if you could ask him what happened to my father, Steve, when he died. Yeah, I'm not sure, but
or like where he went, or...
Yeah, anything more specific, Casey, that you could put in the question. While waiting for Casey to kind of clarify, I want to get your take on this. People with mental illness and things of like, schizophrenia or hearing voices or things of that nature, the more guests that I have that explore these realms and mental health and psychosis and hypnotherapy, the more I'm coming to question, is this always just mental health issue, or could it possibly be a form of like entity possession or entity attachment or something of that nature? And many people tend to agree.
Yeah, so great topic. I love this one too. Number one, of course, I'm always going to say that I am not a psychologist. I don't have a degree in that. And there are some people that really do have a mental illness that would put them in the psychosis, as far as whether they're, whatever, having whatever disorder. However, I will say that there is a lot, I don't know the number because it's been going on for years, but there are a lot of people that are, number one, misdiagnosed, and number two, that are put on meds when they shouldn't be put on meds. Now, not saying that meds don't have a place for people that need them. However, the thing that I would share is when people start talking about, oh my God, there's voices in my head, or I'm seeing, dead people. They're understandably so. That's something that a lot of people are not used to, and they start freaking out. And what's the first? A lot of people are like, oh my God, you need to see a psychiatrist. So understandably that happens more. I had a lot of patients, not even a doctor, good God, clients, that have come to me over the years that have said, Dean, I never said anything to my parents growing up because I knew if I did, I would end up in a home, for being able to, I knew that, I was able to communicate with those that were dead. And I could see them very clearly, like there was just not a big deal for me. However, I couldn't express that to my family. And, so regardless of something, so yeah, I'm totally a believer in there is more often than not a lot of people that are misdiagnosed and are committed to, these facilities, and it's, but I also understand that there are people that need help beyond, in that regard as well. So, but yeah, I totally am a huge believer in that. There's a lot of people that whether they come out about it and they end up going on meds, or they get committed, or they don't say anything, and they live with that secret for a long time.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate that we have to live with this stigma, and it can't be explored in different aspects, in different ways by, people who would understand it a little bit differently. So I think that's super. Go ahead.
Well, right, and and it's kind of nerve wracking when you get a client that goes, "Tell me I'm not crazy," and.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to sit here and tell everybody that you're not crazy. Crazy is just such a poor term, but regardless of what somebody's going through, but a lot of times they do feel that they are truly losing their mind because here's something that's really going on for them, whether they're seeing dead people, whatever. But they know that if they come out about it, that they're going to be ridiculed, they're going to be committed, they're going to be shamed, they're going to be whatever the case is. And so, or if they did, people like, you're crazy. And they were always labeled as that guy or that gal. And, she's kind of woo-hoo, or he's kind of out there. And, what a blessing to be in the period of time that we are, when things are, when people are more open about it now, and there's more studies about the spiritual realm and different things. There's more to corroborate the findings of others and experiences, and saying, who's to say somebody isn't, let's explore this some more.
Yeah, and I mean, you're exactly right. I think if people were more open to it, and I do see that us becoming more kind of open-minded as a society, but if we're more open to things like channeling and information people received from spirit, we could probably get some profound information, and we have gotten profound information from plenty of people in the past who've used, channeling or gotten information downloaded, or however you want to put it. Things have come true, things have come to pass, and we've gotten some profound information that way. And I think we still could.
Absolutely. I think people that glean that information are, you're using that edge, so to speak, and I think that's great. So
yeah. Now KC asks where he went whenever he died.
As far as where
I'm assuming he meant where he passed over to, his spirit went. Yeah.
So okay. So the aspect, so right away I'm getting that there was some, as far as with his earthly. So I'm going to break this down a little bit. With his earthly aspect to him, it feels like there was some trouble or heaviness with the energy. So, but the aspect is when he crossed, or when he died, I get no problems with crossing over. So I do get that he did cross over, as we think of as in heaven. So don't have any concerns there. And the thing that I'm hearing is understand that he got the help that he needed. I don't know really what that's in reference to, but unless he had some, whether it was depression or I don't know what was going on in particular, but understand that he crossed over and went into the realm that we understand as heaven. So, if that makes sense.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your question, Casey. Well, that's okay. People were a little shy today. We didn't get that many readings, but great information came out of it either way. Thank you so much, Dean, for coming on. That was fantastic. If people would like to find out more about your readings, get one, find out about all the wonderful services you offer, what's the best way for them to do so?
They can check me out on the web at themilitarymedium.com or deanmcmurray.com, and I'm on just about every social media platform out there. Just, check me out, Military Medium or Psychic Medium Dean McMurray, and it'll pop up.
Awesome. Well, Dean, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll definitely be talking again in the future. Always a great conversation.
Perfect.
And until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We'll talk again tomorrow.